Greetings everyone and welcome back to a new video. I know I'm late on the party, but we have lots of news and I should have recorded a video for all this stuff sooner, but better late than never. So we're going to take a look at the Tier 6 Risian Cruiser, which is going to be the grand prize for the summer event, which starts on July 1st. And we're also going to take a look at the new Genesis stat blogs. I'm already in the process of doing the review videos for those ships since they're already in the C store, but we may as well look at the stats blogs as well while we're at it. So let's go ahead and look at the Risian Cruiser first. And like I said, this is going to be the grand prize for the summer event starting on July 1st is when the event starts. There's a Tier 5 version from years past, which I think looks better than this one. If I'm eventually going to get this, of course, I'm not going to buy it out because I'm not that interested in the ship. But when I do get it and I do fly it, if I fly it at all other than for review purposes, I would use the Tier 5 skin. This one is fine, but it's just not doing it for me. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the features of the ship itself. So, oh, there goes my sunglasses. Okay, ship details. Tier 6, of course, hull modifier 1.38, which is pretty good, to be honest. That's pretty beefy. These event ships tend to be fleet grade, but still 1.38 is pretty decent for a cruiser. Shield modifier 1.1, 4.4 weapon layout, to be expected for a cruiser. We have a Lieutenant Commander Tactical and Ensign Engineering, a Commander Engineering, 1 Lieutenant Science, and 1 Lieutenant Commander Universal Temp Ops. Not really the best specialization for a cruiser, but you can always throw recursive shearing on there, so that's not too bad. Also, it does have a tracked fire as a bog standard cruiser, so you could use this for a tank, and it would probably make a decent enough tank. So there are some use cases for this ship, especially with the decent hull modifier that it has. Turn rate of 10, which is not bad for a cruiser, to be honest. Cruisers can have some pretty bad turn rates, and this one is all right. Consoles, 3 for tactical, 5 for engineering, 3 for science. Absolutely makes sense. It's what I would have expected. Typically it needs to be a dreadnought or a battle cruiser in order to get 4 tactical, so this is right in line with my expectations. It has 10 to shields and 10 to engines, which is a bit questionable, but whatever. And then it has a solar sail quantum slipstream drive, which is nice. There's lots of ships that have these enhanced slipstream drives, but you know, this one is completely free for your whole account. So if you don't happen to have one of those other ships with an enhanced slipstream drive of some kind, and you're looking to do Tour the Galaxy on your account because you're a masochist, well, now you have one that you can reclaim on all of your characters. So this could be useful for you in that way. Also, you get the RXS registry name prefix if that's something you care about. It has a new trait and a new console, of course. So let's go ahead and take a look at the new console, Universal Enhanced Soliton Wave Generator. And this is an upgraded version from the Tier 5 one. The old ship had the same one. It's the normal thing. You take the Tier 5 version, you give it some passives and call it a day. Risian luxury cruisers can be equipped with a soliton wave generator. It allows the ship to generate a powerful but stable soliton wave. Basically, yeah, it does some minor radiation damage. It builds up and then it can explode and do a knockback and knock off their engines. And I mean, I've used the Tier 5 version before and I'm not particularly impressed with it, so whatever. It also provides a passive increase to current and max shield subsystem power and reduced recharge time for temp ops abilities. Not really all that great. The console mod can be equipped on any starship. Giant meh. I'm not really impressed at all. Starship trait, leisurely pace while at or below 25% throttle. Gain a stacking bonus to exotic particle generators and control expertise once every 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a lot longer than it sounds when you're in combat, especially to have your throttle that low. Once you have at least 1 stack, activating any control bridge officer ability will cause up to 5 foes within 5 kilometers to suffer a debuff to flight speed and all outgoing damage for 5 seconds. The severity of this debuff is increased by additional stacks of this trait's buff gained by remaining at low throttle. This effect may only be triggered once per 5 seconds. All stacks are lost shortly after being above 25% throttle and must be regained over time. Now, depending I think some people have already maybe seen the stats on this, I'm not sure, but depending on how big the debuff is for outgoing damage, this might be an okay support trait, because if you have a support craft, you're more likely to be stationary for a longer period of time. You're also likely to be using control bridge officer abilities like Gravwell in order to help your teammates. So this could jive with a support build in some way if these debuffs are large enough to help protect your teammates from incoming damage. It could be useful for that. So I could see maybe a niche use case for a support craft, but other than that, this is just so thoroughly meh to me. I really am very unimpressed by this all the way around. I don't like the new design of the ship. I like the old one better. The console and trait really aren't impressing me, so I'm still gonna get it, but there's no way I'm gonna buy it out. Let's move on to the rest of the news. All right, it's time for a new Genesis. Here's the other stat blog, and really should have done this one sooner, but we'll go ahead and take a look at it real quick. For people who are just looking for, you know, my immediate opinion, should you buy it or not, is it good value, those sorts of things, and you don't necessarily need to see the whole review video, I'm going to come right out and say, yes, I think this is a good bundle. I purchased it. I recommend it. I think it's a good deal, not only in terms of stow terms, but just in general, I think it's a good deal. I really like the extras that are included, and I think that we should send a message to them that we want more of this kind of thing. More regular C-store purchases and fewer premium options. So all the way around, I just like this bundle. Big thumbs up. So just to get that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at what the blog actually says. So it's going to be available starting on June 24th, which is in the past now. And it's normally 7,500 Zen, but it will be on 35% off, making it roughly $48, which is what I paid for it. And you get the tier 6 Miranda and the tier 6 Oberth. And if we take a look down here, you also get some extra stuff as a reclaimable reward. That means each character can reclaim it. You get a Genesis ground vanity device, a Wrath of Khan Captain Vest, Wrath of Khan Engineer Vest, Wrath of Khan Excursion Jacket, and Type 2 Phaser Compression Pistol. And then once per account, you can get 2 Experimental Starship Upgrade Tokens and 2 Fleet Ship Modules. I really like this part of the bundle because these ships do have fleet versions, and if you were to want to get the maximum performance out of these ships, you're going to want to get the fleet version to get those upgrades, and then get the tier 6X upgrade in order to get the most out of that. So giving you these upgrade tokens and modules as part of the bundle allows you to skip straight to the most powerful version of these ships without having to invest additional resources. Really, I like that. I hope to see this in the future in other bundles as well. Be nice if they threw in a few ship slots to go with it, but I'm not complaining. For $48, you get 2 ships, you get extras, and then you get these tokens, and so I'm a big fan of that. So big thumbs up there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual ships themselves. The Clark Multi-Mission Command Cruiser. This is very similar to the Command Battle Cruisers that are already in the game, and I heard some rumblings that they may reclassify those ships to bring them in line with this new ship class. So we are getting a new ship class, which is also kind of exciting. You can probably think of it as like, I don't know, a light version of a dreadnought. So dreadnoughts have the ability to use dual cannons, and they have a hangar bay, which these do, but they're also just on the lighter side in terms of maneuverability stats and hull and shields and that sort of thing. So that is what the deal is here. And it's a tier 6 ship, hull modifier 1.25, shield modifier 1.1, 4-4 weapon layout. Obviously, we would all like a 5.3, but it is a cruiser, so that's fine. 4.4 is acceptable. It has a lieutenant tactical and ensign engineering, a commander engineering command. It is a full command ship, a lieutenant commander science, and a lieutenant commander universal. The seating is pretty decent. Obviously, it's going to have a commander engineering. It is a cruiser after all, but the fact that it's a commander command seat means that you can do call emergency artillery 3. So that kind of makes it not matter that it's an engineering seat. And then you can also do concentrate firepower 3 in that lieutenant commander slot. and you can do Gravwell rank 1 on that Lieutenant Commander Science if you want to. I kind of feel like if you're going that route, you're sort of pigeonholed into Photonic Officer 1, which is not the best cooldown in the world, but you can certainly do a meta adjacent build with this ship. It's not going to be ideal due to the weapon layout and all that, but you can do a very convincing meta build with this ship, so I do like it for that reason. It's going to be a strong performer. It has a turn rate of 9.5, and since we just talked about the Risian Cruiser, you can already see it, right? The Risian Cruiser had a better hull modifier and a slightly better turn rate. So that's that Risian influence on that other ship. So you can see the differences here. Even though this is a lighter style of cruiser, it still has a lesser turn rate than the Risian Cruiser. So that is something going for the Risian Cruiser. But 9.5 for a cruiser is not bad in all honesty. We got 5 weapons, 5 shields, 10 aux, fine, whatever. Of course, it has a hangar bay as well. It does not come with new hangar pets. Obviously, I would like new hangar pets. It is me after all, but that's okay. The Peregrines are perfectly good pets, and just having a hangar bay is good value in general, especially for more casual-oriented players, because hangar pets just bring up the skill floor on any ship because they can do a lot of the work for you. And then, of course, it has the inspiration abilities as a full command ship, and it has weapon system efficiency and shield frequency modulation, so this will not make a good tank. You could do it, of course, but you'd probably rather use a ship with a tracked fire. The console layout is not good, though. It has 3 for tactical, 4 for engineering, and 3 for science. If you're wondering where the extra console slot is, that's because there's a fleet version, and unfortunately it does not go to tactical like you would think. Doesn't go to engineering either. It's a real mystery. Anyway, the Genesis Seed console is a pretty cool console. I don't really think that it's going to be a super strong performer. I'm not saying it's bad or anything like that. Obviously, people already have it. I already have it. I've already been playing with it. But, you know, it's a decent console. It does give you bonus to radiation, and it does do, you know, a nice AoE damage effect, but it's not like you're not going to be upset that you have it. It's a nice console to have, but it's not like, oh, I don't have it, I wish I had it, I have to go out and buy this ship in order to get this. It's not a must-have console. It's just a nice console. And it creates a Genesis Seed, which tries to turn into a planet. It builds up stacks on the enemies, and then it explodes and deals more damage. You get the idea. Then if we take, it actually has the console tooltip, which is something I like here. 135-degree targeting arc, up to 10 foes affected. It deals the damage after 30 seconds, which is a long time. And or at 120 seed energy, so you really need to get those stacks up, otherwise 30 seconds is too long to wait. And then we take a look at the Starship trait, greater than the sum. Activating emergency powered auxiliary or any command bridge officer ability will provide bonus to yourself and allies within 5 kilometers, which increases subsystem power, hull regeneration, and shield regeneration for 10 seconds. The effectiveness increases with the number of allies affected up to a maximum of 10. It's very easy to get 10 allies because a lot of things count as allies. But anyway, still, it's just quite underwhelming. To self and up to 10 allies, you get 2 to 20 all power levels and restores up to 3% max hull and shields each second. It's just weak sauce. I mean, I'm not saying the effect is bad, but when you consider that this is taking up a Starship trait, it's just not enough, in my opinion. But now we're moving on to the Grissom Light Science Vessel. The Mad Lads actually did it, the T6 Oberth, and the Grissom class, which is quite funny. And then we have the stats here: shield modifier 1.4, hull modifier 0.85. That shield modifier is quite chunky. And we have a 3-3 weapon layout. It is a standard science vessel. We get a Lieutenant Tactical, Lieutenant Commander Engineering, a Lieutenant Commander Science, a Commander Science Temp Ops, and an Ensign Universal. The seating is pretty good since it is a full temporal ship. And it also has a Lieutenant Commander Science. That means you're going to be able to do quite a bit of science shenanigans and EPG related stuff with it. It has 2 tactical, 4 engineering, 4 science. That extra science console slot comes with the fleet version. It has a turn rate of 13, which is okay for a science vessel. It has 5 to shields and 15 to aux. And it also, obviously, it has a secondary deflector and sensor analysis, blah, blah, blah. It's a science ship. And it has a new console and a new starship trait. So let's take a look at that. The universal phased space membrane. And this console, let me tell you, this is a doozy. So let's just skip straight to the tooltip, okay? Every second, it drains 20 aux power and up to 20 seconds. Power transfer rate capped at 250%, immune to physical and kinetic damage, which is already pretty good. And then you get 20 per stack, up to 400 other damage resistance rating, which does have diminishing return, so it's not as great as you think. But then here's the whopper, okay? And oh, does that mean I have to go to Burger King now? You get 20% per stack, up to 400% bonus. That's Cat 2 damage to torpedo weapons. Holy moly, that is ridiculous. Up to 400% Cat 2 torpedo damage is insane. That is some phony baloney stuff. If you had told me that this was going to be the case, I probably would have told you it was fake. That's just insanity. And obviously you need to have a lot of work to get it to work, because it drains 20 aux power per second. So let's say you have 120 aux power or 125 aux power. You're draining 20 per second. That's 20, 40, 60, 80, 120. You're going to get at most 5 seconds out of this, maybe 6 with the power transfer rate. I don't know. I haven't done that math. There are aux batteries, there are team aux batteries and stuff like that, so you can extend it a little bit more. But even if you're only getting 5 stacks out of this, that's 120% Cat 2 torpedo damage, which is nutty. That's absolutely crazy. So this console is really good. This is a new meta console. I think if you're looking to do kinetic builds, high-end kinetic builds, obviously you can get by without it, right? There are so many good consoles out there already that you don't have to have it. But I do think this is going to find its way onto a lot of high-end kinetic builds. This is definitely going to be one of the better consoles in the game. So if you're looking for a must-have item out of this bundle, this console is definitely it. All right, moving on to the trait, which could not possibly live up to the console. And activating, it's called By the Book. This is a noob trap, in my opinion. I think people really were going crazy about this. They thought it sounds really good, right? You hear what it does, it sounds good, but in my opinion, it's just not that good. So when activating bridge officer abilities that create anomalies, or any temp ops bridge officer ability will extend the duration of all your active bridge officer anomalies by 2 seconds. Keyword there, bridge officer anomalies, not anomalies created by consoles or anything else, only the ones from your bridge officer abilities. So, you know, think Gravity Well, Tychon's Rift, Subspace Vortex. Those are all very powerful anomalies, and it's a very nice trait. But here's the thing. It does that reverse scaling thing that I talk about sometimes. So the better your build is, the more damage you're doing. That means you're killing the enemies faster. If you're killing the enemies faster, extending the duration doesn't matter anymore, right? It's like, okay, you put out a gravity well, the enemies die, and then you leave, and the gravity well lingers for an extra couple of seconds because of this trait, but it isn't doing anything because the enemies are already dead. So I definitely think this sounds a lot better than it actually is, and I think it's just, yeah, like I said, it's a noob trap. It's an okay trait, but I would definitely pass on this. Definitely not that great. I don't want to spend a lot of time going over the fleet versions, but the two big things to look for on the fleet versions, obviously it gets better hull and shield modifiers. The Tier 6 Miranda, the Machowski, Clark, whatever you want to call it, it actually picks up an extra science console, which is weird. So that it ends up having 3 tactical, 4 engineering, 4 science. The Tier 6 Oberth gets an extra science, so it does have 5 science tactical consoles, or 5 science consoles, excuse me. I realize I'm talking very, very fast, but there was so much to get through, and I don't want the video to be any longer than it has to be. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to try and get those reviews out as soon as I can. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.